against a modern army? Today, we're about to find out. For this video, we're using a circular map that will split right down the middle with a massive wall, so neither side can cross over before it's time. Once that's set up, we'll add the proper biomes for each section, the grassland biome on the left and the savanna biome on the right. On the savanna side, we'll place a group of humans who found the medieval kingdom. On the other side, in the grasslands, we'll drop in the Navy SEALs, representing the modern soldiers. Now we hit play and let them explore while the vegetation starts to grow. The Navy SEALs, though, seem way more interested in chatting than actually building anything. Looks like they're not collecting resources or putting up any structures yet. Anyway, now that both sides have officially founded their kingdoms, we'll go ahead and rename them and give each one a more fitting color. Of course, we'll do the same on the other side and then let time move forward a bit. After the first decade, we can already see a clear difference. The medieval kingdom has managed to grow its population quite a bit compared to the modern army. They've also improved their main settlement a lot, building a palace for the king, expanding several of their tents, and laying down roads that connect everything together. On the other hand, the modern army has built what look like hangars, which they're using as sleeping quarters, though there are far fewer of them compared to the medievals. And honestly, that makes sense, considering how slow they were at the start. Meanwhile, while we were focused on the modern side, the medievals just kept pushing forward. They've built a mine that's now producing tons of resources, which they'll soon use to reinforce their homes. Some of their houses already have concrete foundations, and a few villagers are actually hanging out inside the king's palace, taking advantage of the fact that he's nowhere to be seen. And just like that, we've hit the 30-year mark. At this point, the population gap is still massive. The medieval kingdom keeps growing fast and has even started training its first soldiers. The modern army, on the other hand, despite the name, still doesn't have a single one. That said, they have made some solid progress. This seems to be their headquarters, where the captain or leader of the modern army resides. You can also spot a few silos where they grow wheat and store food supplies. On top of that, they've built several new homes and barracks where their citizens live. Lastly, they've set up a mine, just like the medieval kingdom, which will definitely help boost their future constructions. They still haven't expanded beyond their main town, but it's only been a short while, so that's totally normal. Let's see how things play out over the next few centuries. Over on the medieval side, though, things are looking way more advanced in pretty much every area. They've even managed to create a second settlement with its own storage building, where they've started piling up resources. Back in the capital, there's noticeable progress, too. While they haven't fully reinforced any of their homes with concrete just yet, they have built a siege tower, a windmill, absolutely essential to sustain their growing population, and what appears to be a library which will definitely speed up their progress by letting them apply the knowledge gained from it. We've just hit the 150-year mark, and it's honestly impressive how both civilizations have expanded at such an incredible pace. Still, the medieval kingdom clearly has the upper hand, having taken over all its territory in record time. And not just that, inside their borders, you can really see how efficiently everything's organized. The place is packed with new structures that show just how far they've come. Many of their homes are now fully reinforced with concrete, and several libraries have been built throughout the kingdom. You can also spot multiple training barracks scattered across different regions, where soldiers are constantly sharpening their skills to strengthen the army even more. They've also built ports with their own fishing boats. They don't have any trading ships yet, which is kind of surprising, but it also means there's still plenty of room for improvement. Once they start developing trade vessels, the entire southern region, which right now looks a bit underdeveloped, could easily catch up to the north in terms of progress. Over on the other side, the modern army isn't nearly as organized as the medieval kingdom. In fact, their houses are grouped in random clusters of 3 or 4, without any real structure. Still, they've managed to build a few barracks where soldiers train non-stop, along with what seem to be siege towers and another large structure I can't quite identify, but it definitely looks impressive. There don't seem to be any libraries on the modern side, unlike the medieval kingdom, so I'm not even sure they're capable of building that kind of structure. On top of that, their ports are way behind. They're basically just simple wooden docks. At least they've got a fishing boat, though, which helps them keep a basic supply route by sea. When it comes to the numbers, the gap has narrowed a bit percentage-wise, but the medievals still hold a clear lead in both overall population and military strength. That said, if you take a closer look at some of the modern army soldiers, you'll notice they've got special abilities, clearly the result of advanced training techniques unique to modern warfare, something the medieval troops could never even come close to matching. We've just reached year 400, and the first thing that stands out is that the modern army has officially surpassed the medieval kingdom in total population, and by a pretty big margin. However, when it comes to military strength, both civilizations are still more or less evenly matched for now, this massive population boom on the modern side comes from finally conquering every bit of available land. And while their organization isn't exactly the most structured, with barracks and buildings scattered all over the place, they're definitely making the most of their space, putting up houses even in the most unexpected corners. Things are very different in the medieval kingdom. Despite having a much more defined and orderly layout, you can clearly see wide open areas that remain completely empty, without a single structure in sight. That's why the medieval kingdom has far fewer houses overall, and as a result, less room to accommodate its growing population. Still, they've managed to upgrade a large number of homes, especially in the northern region, where many are already at near maximum level. Their storage buildings are also completely stocked with resources, which is a great sign heading into the war that's clearly on the horizon. They've also built new structures, like this market where citizens trade with one another. Of course, they've got trading and many additional advancements. When it comes to the soldiers' equipment, we can see that they're fully armed with steel swords and armor, a clear sign of solid development within the medieval kingdom. However, something that really catches my attention is the fact that I can't spot a single archer, at least not at first glance. And that's a bit concerning, considering the modern troops are almost entirely equipped with firearms. It feels like the medieval soldiers desperately need some sort of ranged weapon to even the odds a little, though maybe they're hiding their bows, or just haven't crafted them yet. Either way, the time has come. It's finally time to tear down the wall and begin the great battle. Once we hit play, the battle starts instantly. The modern soldiers waste no time, pulling out their firearms and open fire without mercy, mowing down every medieval soldier who dares to fight back. The medievals do everything they can to hold the line, but it's obvious they don't have a single archer. No one's attacking from a distance. Instead, every soldier charges straight into close combat, which is a pretty reckless move considering what the modern army is packing. Moments later, the entire border of the medieval kingdom is left completely devastated. The modern soldiers burn everything in their path, destroying resources, villages, and farmlands to cause as much damage as possible, while new reinforcements arrive to support the offensive. The northern region becomes one of the hardest hit. There, the modern army quickly takes over a huge portion of the territory that once belonged to the capital. Meanwhile, a small group of medieval soldiers, in a last desperate attempt, destroy the buildings they themselves had built centuries earlier, until they are finally wiped out, and the entire territory falls completely under modern army control. In no time, the medievals were pushed back to a small settlement at the far end of the map, holding out just a little longer before finally being completely conquered by the modern soldiers. Incredibly,